to this week's edition of On the Money with Secure Money, brought to you by Brian Quaranta of Secure Money Advisors. And I'm Rebecca Powers. So happy to be with you again. Great to see you as always.
Good to see you.
Today, you'd been reading a lot of articles recently about women specifically. And you said you'd kind of like to model today's show specifically for women.
Yeah. Well, for some reason, we have a lot of women clients.
Yeah, that's great. We're kind of the worry warts. We're the ones that are always, do we have enough?
You know, it's interesting you bring that up, because one of the things that I think Secure Money Advisors connects really well with women is the fact that we have a very black and white approach and a very secure approach, right? And so women are more likely to take a sure thing versus a maybe. And you'll see it a lot if you've got a married couple, because the husband always thinks that, you know, the stock market's going to be the greatest thing ever, and you know, he's willing to gamble, and she's going, why are we going to gamble with all this? We've worked all of our life for it. If all we do is protect it, we'll have a great retirement. And you'll always see women take a much more conservative approach, which in my opinion is a smarter approach, because once you've won the game, and you've accumulated enough money, your job is to make sure that it's protected and it's going to last. You know, you don't have to continue to sit at the blackjack table your entire life.
Right, I mean, you've won, walk away.
Walk away. Now, that doesn't mean you have to walk away with 100% of it, but you got to walk away with a good portion of it, because again, people are not retiring with pensions, so we've got to think like pensioners, not gamblers. So
that's in your book. Think like a pensioner, not a gambler.
It is. It's chapter 3.
Yeah.
So yes, as you know, you don't want to think like a gambler. So walk away from the blackjack table or the roulette table, however you want to look at it, and put yourself in a place to where if you are going to continue to gamble, gamble with a little bit, but not all of it.
Right.
And that's really what we. But women, you know, connect really well with Secure Money Advisors because of the level of safety that we talk about. And women are wired a little bit differently, where they want to know. They kind of want to know. They want to plan.
Yes.
Men are not planners.
We take lists too. Men don't usually write as many lists as ladies.
Yes, and the challenge for married couples is, you know, more and more today I will see that the CFO of the family actually is the woman, right? But you'll still get a lot of men that, you know, are the CFOs of the family.
Sure.
And so when somebody is the CFO, the other person tends to take the back seat. So they don't see the money going out, they don't see the money coming in, and when you're disconnected from paying the bills or seeing the expenses go out, you have a different viewpoint on, you know, what retirement may or may not look like.
100%.
Yeah, so if you've got a woman that's the CFO of the family and she's been paying the bills the entire time, and the husband's like, well, I just want to retire and we'll be fine, just keep it in the market, we'll be fine. She's like, you don't understand.
Right, well, you don't have enough.
You don't think, you know, but one thing that we do really well that gives women peace of mind is showing them the black and white math and writing and giving them that plan that they actually get to take with them. And since we use a simple Excel model, a lot of them can just plug and play on their own, even in their own private time. And so it gives them the confidence and courage to move forward to that next step.
And you love the physical binder, and I do too. Opening your binder, seeing it up on my shelf, knowing we can open it at any time. Yeah. You can add pages to it as things change. It does really feel great. All right, we had this wonderful, Greg, our studio manager, gave us this wonderful article. Fortune 500 did this article saying 20 quick facts about women's retirement prospects and 11 ways to improve it. So there are specific things that women should be doing differently than men?
Well,
why? Do you know what I mean? Like, why is it different? Because we make less money commonly, or?
Well, women typically are going to have to plan for a longer retirement because on average, women do live longer. So that's one main thing that we have to...
Longevity risk.
Longevity, yep. Women, and we're talking, in this case, we're talking about single women also, right? They tend to be much more active than what men are. They want to do a lot more things than what men are willing to do. Men tend to, as they get older, get more emotional.
Really?
They get more emotional. They get exhausted and tired, and they really don't want to do much. Women get re-energized. It's almost like, women go through this period of time where they're working through who they are for so long, where men really don't have to do that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they become this really strong human being.
I know who I am now.
Yeah, and men are like, I'm tired of being strong,
Did that. I was born that way.
Yeah, my own dad.
Society.
My own dad could cry at the drop of a hat anymore at 78 years old. I mean, he is like, he's the most emotional I've ever seen.
It's like
him.
Benjamin Button.
Yeah, right.
The guy's going this way, the girls are going that way. That's really funny.
And
caregivers. That's another good point. A lot of women become caregivers
They do.
or have been caregivers and put their own lives on hold.
Yeah. Look, my mom. That was my mom. My mom took care of my dad's mom for 5 years.
Wow.
And people do not realize how hard it is on a caregiver.
So hard.
It is so difficult on the caregiver. And
basically give up your life.
you do give up your life. And what's even more difficult is that the person that they're caring for, if that person passes, it is really difficult because that was their primary purpose for so long. And then all of a sudden that purpose is gone. And now they have to almost like reinvent who they are because they were in a routine of doing these things. So, but as far as overall financial planning goes, things are pretty much the same between men and women when it comes to the basic fundamentals. They're going to need income, right? They're going to have to prepare so that they don't run out of money. They usually are much more willing to take less risk, which we like because that's common sense.
Yeah.
It's common sense that as you get older and you get closer to retirement and you want to retire and you're going to need to use your money to replace the paycheck that you're going to lose, you want to get safer. And so women, for them, that's just a natural progression for them.
They don't push back on you when you say, hey, look, here's your actual risk.
Yes.
And we need to, and they're like, oh, I thought I was in less risk.
Yeah, for a lot of the women that we see, we're kind of a breath of fresh air for them because if they're working with somebody else, or they've been to a few different firms, they're always nervous that the advisor is telling them to take that much risk. So finally, when they come in, they're getting
like,
yeah. And this is what I would tell you, folks. If you're deciding on working with a firm, find somebody that shares in the same money beliefs that you do, okay? Because if you're sitting across from somebody and somebody's telling you to do something with your money and it's making you very uncomfortable, and you know that feeling I'm talking about where you're being given advice and you're shaking your head yes at the meeting, but when you leave and you walk out that door, you've got that feeling in your gut that something just isn't right. It doesn't align with who I am. That's a sign that you need to start looking elsewhere. So go to onthemoneyoffer.com, get a copy of my book called Right Track Your Retirement, where I teach you how to get your retirement on the right track. I give you the information to help you determine if you're on the right track. Go to onthemoneyoffer.com, get a copy of the book. We send it out to you absolutely free, and you'll also be able to schedule an appointment there. It's called our Right Track appointment, where we teach you the basic fundamentals of how to build a system and process to get you retired and keep you retired. Or you can call 1-888-382-1298. My team is standing by right now, and you can schedule directly with them.
Stay with us. More great advice from Brian Quaranta, how to make your money secure. Stay with us.
See, everybody can tell you how to invest your money. There's not a lot of people out there and a lot of firms that can teach you how to use your money. Most people also tell you that they're scared. And the reason they're scared is because they're afraid of running out of money.
The last thing you want to do is have a really good job into your 60s, retire, and be looking for work again in your late 70s.
The average person might say, well, a good portfolio would be a good mix of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. No. A good portfolio is all designed around the 5 key areas: income, taxes, investments, healthcare, and legacy planning.
We're not just product pickers here. What we do best here is we build retirement plans.
9 out of 10 people, when they walk through the door, would ask us, we just want to know if we're on the right track. And I always say, if you're not on the right track, when would be a good time to know it? Probably now.
People, can actually see a vision once we start to really build out their plan.
This is about you. if you're not getting what you need, and you feel that when you walk out of the advisor's office, it's time to get a second opinion. And you can't get a second opinion from the person that gave you the first opinion. The difference at Secure Money Advisors, as a fiduciary firm, we help you manage the risk, build the income, and give you the retirement you dreamed of.
Welcome back to On the Money with Secure Money. We are talking today specifically about women and retirement. Little difference, little nuances, but it's always for everyone getting your money safe. How often, or is it commonplace, Brian, for you to look at everything they have, all their little buckets of money? Do you almost always take money out of the risk bucket and put it in the safe money bucket? Is that customary or just once in a while?
Yeah, well, it depends. And what it depends on is, are they going to have enough money between Social Security and pensions? And, you know, there's a high percentage of people that, again, we talk about it on every show, that do not have that pension. So the money that they typically have, what people are retiring with, we work with a lot of the women that we work with are nurses in the local area, because we've got a big community
so
of
much healthcare and education.
So much healthcare, yeah. Teachers,
yes.
And
all the
so,
universities.
Yeah, so a lot of them have 403Bs. You know, if they're working at a corporation, they might have a 401k. And though all of those accounts, usually when we're meeting them, if they're still invested there, are all invested at risk in the stock market.
Yeah.
And, you know, the first question we ask, and this is something great for you to even do at home right now, and if you write these down or just remember them, it's a good way for you to start to identify the direction that you need to go with managing your money. But there's only 4 things you can do with your money. You can get income from it. You can make it safe. You can have it grow by taking risk, or you can keep it liquid and available to you, like under your mattress. So when you ask folks, you know, out of those 4 things, what is the number one most important thing? Did you write them down, Rebecca?
I did.
Okay,
Income,
so
keep it safe, make it grow, keep it liquid in your mattress.
So let's go through the exercise with you.
Okay.
All right, so what would be the number one priority of the money that you've accumulated over your lifetime?
For me, it's make it safe.
You make it safe, okay.
But my husband would say let it grow, so
he would
there's
say
the
let
difference.
It grow.
Yeah.
Okay, so safe would be number 1.
Okay.
Now think about if we were having this conversation and you're retiring tomorrow.
Okay.
So safe would be number 1. What would be number 2?
Income.
Income would be number 2. Okay. Number 3?
I think liquid, to know that if I needed a new roof, I could go into my mattress. And
Beautiful. So that would be number 3.
Okay.
And what's your last one?
Grow.
Grow.
And I guess maybe because I'm 54. I mean, is that?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. That is how most people will answer.
Are you serious? In this order?
The only 2 that will be different is you chose safety, and then income next. They'll be reversed sometimes.
Gotcha. Income, safety.
But usually, a high percentage growth is last, right?
So it shows that we are inherently not greedy people, but we get sucked into the more, let it ride.
Right? Or we're being brainwashed by Wall Street to believe that we need to be taking all of this risk in the market to be successful with our retirement dollars. And yes, the market is a way to grow our money and accumulate the pile of money you need as you're approaching retirement. But again, in my book, I talk about the fundamental change that you have to make is that mindset of taking risk with your money to grow it. That's the mindset of someone that's in the accumulation phase of their life, where they're trying to grow their pile of money. When you go to retire, you're going to a completely different phase. And it's what the retirement planning experts call the distribution phase, which is where you're going to start to distribute, or in this case, take income from your investments. And so fundamental changes need to take place. And this is why I write in the book, the investments that got you to retirement usually are not the best choices to get you through retirement. And this is where my bucketing strategy comes in, right? We've talked about the bucketing strategy, where we have 2 main buckets of money. We have a safe money bucket and we have a risk money bucket. In this case, you said, you know, how much usually comes out of risk? Well, it depends on how much income you need. So if you were, you know, going to need a certain amount of income, let's say over a, let's say over a 20-year period, you needed $20,000 a year. Well, that's $400,000 over 20 years that you need in income.
Okay.
But what happens if you only have $400,000?
Total, yeah.
Total, right?
Yeah.
This is where the bucketing approach comes in to get leverage. So you might take $200,000 or $300,000 and put it into your green bucket where you're going to create a bridge of income for maybe 20, 25 years so that the money that's in the red bucket or the growth bucket can still be in the market, but it has a very important ingredient built into it now, and that's called time.
Right.
Because in order to be successful in the market, you've got to put the money in and you've got to give it time to grow. Because if you look at a stock chart, it goes like this.
Right.
And even though the stock chart might go up and down, it's still going up, right? But it goes up and down on the way up. And people don't realize that there's volatility on the way down.
Well, and they forget things too.
Yes.
2008, my God, some people lost 50% of everything. And then last year, you know what happened there. So how can we all forget so quickly and, let's roll the dice? People
have very short memories when it comes to the pain of what 2008, 2009 were like when people lost half of their money.
Right.
Or even 2001 and 2002 during 9/11. I mean, we had from 2000 to 2010, we had something called the lost decade, which meant over that 10-year period, Rebecca, there was no money made.
Wow.
Zero money made because of the volatility of the market. Now think about if in that 10-year period, you were taking money out of your accounts, what would be happening? Most likely, depending on how it was invested, you could have spent down a lot of that money because you just weren't getting the growth rate to be able to do it.
Devastating to your savings.
Right. Now, history typically doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly does rhyme. And if you look at some of the factors that we've got going on in the marketplace right now, there's a lot of rhyming going on compared to, think about the banks right now, and everything we've gone through, the volatility, the interest rates spiking, the Fed's constantly raising interest rates. It's very rare that the Feds raise interest rates and we have what we call a soft landing, meaning that's the Fed's way of saying, if we raise rates, very rarely do we have a soft landing, or meaning we don't push the economy into a recession, right? Meaning they're most likely going to push it into a recession. It's very probable. I don't know that for a fact, but the data shows that there's a higher probability of that happening. So ask yourself this, if we got into the lost decade again, and you're retired right now, or you're wanting to retire, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And this is why what I write about in Right Track Your Retirement is so important, because the system and process that I talk about that you need to have when you retire, this teaches you how, if another lost decade happened or we had markets that were just going down, how you're going to protect yourself from that. Because you've worked your entire life to accumulate this sum of money. The last thing you want to do is retire and somebody tell you it's okay to keep all of your money at risk and just start taking your money, and then it doesn't work out. Remember, if it doesn't work out, they're not the ones responsible for paying your electricity bill, your mortgage bill. So are you going to ask them to pay for it when you're out of money? This is why you have to make sure that you're protected. Because at the end of the day, it's really easy to tell somebody else to gamble with their money, especially if they get paid to do it. So learn the right system. Learn how to protect yourself from these things. So go to onthemoneyoffer.com and get a copy of my book, and also schedule your appointment there. The appointment that you'll have with my team is about 45 minutes to an hour. We'll send you a little packet out of what you need to bring in. And my promise to you is nobody from my team is ever going to try to sell you anything. Nobody's going to pressure you to do anything. You're there to learn, ask questions, and be informed. You can also call 1-888-382-1298, and my team's standing by to take your call and get you scheduled.
That's right. He'll even pay for the shipping and handling. Even the book is not for sale. It truly is about educating and empowering, and that is what we are doing, especially for women today. Women in finances. Stay with us.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter, the one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to On the Money with Secure Money. I always say, Brian, you put the word secure in the title of this show and your entire business because that is your number one priority.
Yeah.
Protect, protect, protect. Let's secure your money. It's like you're the little guy screaming it from the mountaintop.
That's right. And I will say this too, Rebecca. We are not perfect. I mean, we have, our clients' accounts that are in the market, right? We go up and down just like everybody else does. But because of the system that we use, the process that we use with the two buckets, we're not concerned about this going up and down. We've actually planned for that. We want that to happen. That's part of the process.
Right.
You see, when people don't have a plan or a process and this is going up and down, that becomes a problem now.
Right.
Yeah.
A big problem.
Yes.
So in this article, I love this. It says only 15% of women have a written retirement strategy, and 42% reported saying they have an unwritten strategy.
Yeah.
Unwritten, what? It's just in your head? I mean, no offense, but like it's got to be in writing.
I would tell you that just from me doing this for 25 years, I would tell you that a lot of people do not have a written strategy. Yeah. Right? And the most important thing you can have is a written strategy. Think about it like this. If you were going to build a home, what would you start with?
I'll just go to Lowe's and buy a whole bunch of stuff and just start throwing it up there.
Right, and this is what people do with their finances.
Yeah.
It's like going to Lowe's and saying, well, we're going to need some lumber and some piping and some nails, and then we're going to need these tools over here. And they get home and they go, how do we build this thing?
Maybe we should call an architect.
That's right. Then you start with the architect, and the architect helps you do what? Create a blueprint. A blueprint. And that's exactly what we are at Secure Money Advisors. We're the architect, we're the engineer. We help you build that blueprint. We give you that roadmap. And so now, when that roadmap is laid out, if you're working towards retirement, we have a plan to get you there. If you're getting ready to retire, we have a plan to get you there. And when you have a blueprint, and you have it mapped out on paper, you can also make all the bad things happen on paper.
Exactly.
And I always say, let's make the bad things happen on paper so that when they actually do happen, we have a plan for them, because bad things do pop up. So for example, when we're building a plan for our clients, we might simulate, well, what happens if we have a health event? You have a stroke, you need to go into a nursing home, and it's going to cost you an additional $100,000 a year. We need to know if we're going to take that money out of your accounts, what's that going to do to your future balances? What risk is that going to put at the spouse that's not sick, right? Other bad things that can happen is, what happens if the market goes down 3 years in a row, like it's done before?
Yeah.
What is that going to look like? What's that going to do to the future balance? What happens if all of a sudden you need a large sum of money from your accounts for an emergency for a child or something? What is that going to do to the balances? And simulating all of that in our planning model and looking at those systems and processes, it's no different than what an engineer would do if they were to build a bridge or a building. They can simulate an earthquake. They can simulate high winds. That's exactly what we're doing, because we want to make sure that when we build this thing, it's as weatherproof as we can possibly get it. It's as bulletproof as we possibly can get it. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Understand that. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. But you can get pretty close to having something that is. And that's what I encourage you to do. And that's why having a good system and process like the Right Track Retirement System is so important.
Absolutely. And that's why you did it, to make it very simple. We all agree that we were not educated enough at financial planning growing up in our public school systems. You said almost like, it made me, I don't know how to say this, but when you say, it feels almost like Wall Street has brainwashed all of us to say, keep your money in, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that give almost an inherent conflict when I think I'm with a fiduciary like you, but I'm actually just with someone who is strictly a broker?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's so important, especially for you ladies, to say, number one, are you a fiduciary? Are you an independent?
Yeah. I think financial planning is a little bit like political issues, right? There are people out there that have certain beliefs on how something should be done. There are people that believe that all of your money can stay in the market and you'll be fine. And
do they believe that?
They do believe that.
They really believe that.
We see it every single day.
Rolling the dice the rest of your life.
Rolling the dice every single day of their life.
Okay.
And that's because of the culture at some of the big box firms.
Gotcha.
And the big box firms create that culture. So what happens is, if you're a young guy, like, read my story in the book, right?
When you worked there.
As a young guy, going to that firm, I mean, the first thing they're telling me is that, people are going to be calling in because the markets are going down, they're losing money, and we just need you to tell them everything is going to be okay, and that it's just a paper loss, and hang in there, you're in it for the long haul. But these are the same people that also tell you, we don't have a crystal ball and we don't know what's going to happen. So how can you tell somebody it's going to be okay?
We can't be held responsible if it goes down, but I'm sure it will, maybe.
Yeah, well, the market, look, since 1929, the market, we will go through a bear market every 3.4 years. Okay, this is the last bull run that we've had was a long bull run, and this is where people got overconfident.
Right.
When you see young kids, making lots of money in these Robinhood accounts and these TD Ameritrade accounts, buying these individual stocks, that's a sign that it's not a time to get in. That's a sign when you should be selling, because when everybody's buying, you should be selling, and when everybody is selling, right?
You should be buying.
You should be buying. So you always want to buy low. Now, but again, we're getting back to a system and a process. That's what I want you to have, folks. Go to onthemoneyoffer.com. Get a copy of my book. As we've said, we ship it out to you. It's absolutely free. Take the time to read it. Understand the 5 key areas of retirement planning. Educate yourself in here and get clarity on what you need to do. While you're there, schedule your appointment to come in. Right? You have nothing to lose. It's absolutely free, the appointment. Nobody from my team is ever going to pressure you to buy anything. Nobody's going to ask you to do anything. You're there to learn and educate. You can also call 1-888-382-1298. My team is standing by to take your call and get you scheduled for your appointment. We look forward to seeing you at our office, and we'll see you again soon next week.
Thank you so much, Brian, and thank you at home for joining us. Keep those emails coming in. A lot of your questions give us ideas for this show. We'll see you next week.